Hi everyone, this is Cesar Pineda, Farmers Insurance Agent in South Norwalk, Connecticut. Today I am joined by Jason V. He's the Senior Multimedia Account Manager at A4 Advertising and a client of ours, so we're very happy to have him here today. He saw a bit about our Business Strong initiative here in Fairfield County, trying to get the word out there for people who are in need to promote their businesses. He is a business owner of sorts, and he can help you with your business to promote it because obviously he's in the marketing world, and now in the middle of a pandemic and everything that we're going through, marketing is so important, and partly this is why I'm doing this right now. So thank you for being here, Jason.
No problem.
If you want to say a little bit about yourself and just introduce yourself.
I work for A4 Advertising, which is the marketing and advertising arm for News 12 News here in Connecticut. And I also sell the advertising on the cable networks, which is part of, if you know Altice or A4, our arm is Optimum or Cablevision for going way back. I've been doing this for about a year and a half, but I have over 20 years experience, especially in the local market here in Connecticut. I used to be in radio, Cox Media Group, which was PLR and Fox and Cool back in the day, and then I got recruited to go work for two small companies, one called ESPN in New York City.
A tiny company.
A little tiny company. I worked for the House of the Mouse. Yeah. And then I went over to CBS Sports for WFAM, which was the #1 billing station in the country at the time.
Wow. So you're dealing with people from all over the country?
All over the country. Wow. and local, but it's the local businesses that I was brought up on. And I learn because I think what's different is I live in the community, I work in the community, I have a family community, and obviously I play and I spend money in the community, so I get it. I think I get it.
And you guys are based out of where?
We're based out of Norwalk.
Norwalk?
Right.
Okay, Norwalk. All right. So you're obviously local. We're right here in Norwalk as well. So for any of you people who have a business in Norwalk or any of Fairfield County, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with News 12, so here's your guy. All right, Jason. So my first question for you is, obviously we're, as I mentioned, in the middle of a rough time for a lot of people. Yeah. Is this a good time or a bad time to market?
I think it's always a good time to market, but especially now, marketing becomes more important. You have a very focused group of people working from home. Their televisions are on. Right. You have an election that's obviously, as we're talking now, we still don't know. We still don't know what's going on. There are minds and focuses and stuff. It makes you, unfortunately, now with what you see on Post Road and everywhere else, if you're still functioning, now's the time to get up, one leg up. You're going to be standing out among everybody. People will remember what you are and what you're delivering based on your message.
Of course. And so, based on what you're working with right now, what are the type of businesses that are really seeing the opportunity?
We're seeing definitely the local. What I see now is the local markets are slowly coming back. If they've consistently stayed on, they've cut back their budget, which is of course normal. Right. But now you're seeing the auto industry open up. You're starting to see smaller businesses, gyms that are able to open are back up. Restaurants are coming back on. Because they know the importance that some restaurants never advertised before.
Yeah, that's true.
Now they see.
They didn't have to back then.
Now they have to, right? Yeah. You're seeing that. You're seeing a lot more mom and pops trying to get their word out, one way or the other. Everyone's hands are still tied. Every time the governor changes something, how we're conducting business. But my advice is you keep plugging at it. You need to, I think, now. Just
that's something I've learned. Consistency is the key in marketing, right?
Correct. Consistency, the right message. If you are looking in a restaurant, for example, if you want a dinner crowd, focus more on when you're advertising, not as much as I need to be on the late night news. No, you want to get them when they're lunch. You want to talk about, do you have curbside pickup right now?
When people are hungry.
Correct.
That's smart.
Correct.
So let me ask you something else. I actually just very recently learned about this, and I was telling you this before we started. OTT, what is that, and how can people take advantage of it?
OTT is the best way to describe it. Is called over the top OTT. What it is cord cutters, right? What's unique about Fairfield County, because of where we live, not as many people as you think cut the cord. And when I mean cut the cord, they don't buy cable, they don't do this. And to be honest, before I was working at Cablevision or Altice, I was one of them, right? Yeah. I streamed, I did stuff, and I had DirecTV Now, which isn't even offered anymore.
Oh, really?
So I was watching TV stations and stuff. But the key thing is you still had to go through Optimum to get the little cable box. So what OTT does is it shows commercials to those cord cutters. It's not necessary. In the old days, it was like, I need to get here, I need to do this. What it is OTT, you're following the behavior of the person that's watching TV. So, in the old days, it used to be like, oh, we'll put impressions on ESPN and we'll wait until they come. Well, no, what we're doing now is I could be watching something and you could be watching something. All cord cutters. Yeah. But you're using Apple TV and maybe I'm using a Roku stick, or I'm using, every day there's something else. The Sony View, the PlayStations.
Right.
That's not important. The important part is how they reach, what your behavior is. So what's great about OTT is you can break it down to how much money they make, the sex, the age, where they live,
so really
everything like that. You're narrowing it down. So instead of casting a wide net, which is still recommended in marketing, you're gonna fish in a smaller pond with the right kind of people.
Yeah.
Right? So in my case, if you want to hit men 18 to 25 who are Asian, and everyone's looking like, oh, that's him, I'm out of that zone, right? So if you're watching and you and I are watching the same broadcast, whatever we're watching, let's say we're watching, I know you're a secret person, Desperate Housewives. We're watching Desperate Housewives, but you're focused on the Asian 18 to 25. You and I wouldn't be served an ad.
Right.
You'd be served a different ad. If you're saying, hey, I want to hit Asians 25 to 55, I would see it. You wouldn't.
So you're personalizing an ad based on who you are. Right.
Correct. And not necessarily I'm watching Desperate Housewives. Let's say I'm watching your podcast somewhere, and I'm actually it's out there, right?
Yeah.
As long as whatever I'm watching, however I'm watching, allows ads to be delivered, the ad will be served to me.
Okay. And so you and your company, how do you come into play with OTT?
What's key about it is it's just an offshoot, right? You're taking your video, which is a TV commercial. We're taking the data from that desktop, that set-top box is what we call it, the little cable box that you're using. Everything is in there, right? And we know who the people are, we know where the people are, and we could do it locally, we could do it nationally. And why? Because our relationships with other cable companies, cell phone companies, you trade back and forth, this and that. And I tell people this, you always hear when you work with other people trying to do stuff on the internet, oh, we use a third party to get the information. Well, Altice, we are that party.
Oh, I see. Right. And so for people, we're obviously talking about people with different budgets in this area. Some people have very big budgets for marketing. Some people have very small budgets. How would you recommend people, who are trying to level their budget and see, is this something I could afford right now? Is this something that maybe I have to wait for?
I think don't panic is the first thing. Don't assume it's really expensive. Don't assume it's cheap either.
Right.
I think one thing that's good about A4 that I think we do better than anybody, we're very transparent. How transparent we are. There is something for every budget. But you have to think, if you only have, let's say, $500 a month, the reality is, what does $500 get you? Do you want to spend $1 million a month if you have it as a salesperson? Absolutely. But is it necessary also on that end?
Right.
Is it overkill?
Right.
You want to find what the right niche is for you. And one thing I always tell people, make sure the message is correct. Right? Unfortunately, certain things aren't, we call it, like, sexy, if you want to call it. It's not important today.
It doesn't call your attention enough. Yeah.
Right, like a plumber, like insurance. I don't need it today. But I keep hearing it.
But you need it.
I will need it.
You have
definitely need it. I have it from you, but the minute something changes in my life, and you start making, you deal with it, especially now during pandemic. I'm sure everyone, sadly, if they got furloughed or whatever, what's the first thing they thought of? How do we cut back? Do we cut back the cable?
Right.
Do we find a cheaper insurance company?
Right.
Do we cut back going, well, you couldn't go out, but do we cut back on eating out?
Eating out,
things like that. All those things come to play. So then what? Now you start thinking, well, if I want to cut back my cable, what can I do? And then you see a thing on TV for Sling TV.
Yeah.
Or insurance, you hear the little farmer saying we can be it cheaper, or
Yeah.
you know, the little amphibian guy we don't talk about in your podcast, right?
Name that name.
Right. And that guy that dresses up in red.
Yeah.
Right? So you start thinking about that because it's just repetition that you hear
Yes.
somewhere, whether it's TV, something online or something. So, but if your message is urgent enough that people want it, they'll come.
So the call to action is
Call to action is important,
Right.
without cheapening your brand too.
Gotcha. And actually, now I'm actually genuinely curious because, as you know, insurance is all over the place with
Right.
marketing. Like, we're probably one of the most overbearing industries that is marketing, left and right. But one thing that I always have a hard time is emphasizing that I'm a local business. As much as I work with a big company that is a national company, we're different because we're like a local agency that basically, if you support us, you're supporting us more, as an agency than you are this big company. So I'm curious, what are the ways to step out of that bubble, like just to make it clear, like, hey, we're different, even though we're the same.
Exactly that. You tell the people you're local, right? Tell the people that you've been in the community. You always hear, we've gone away from that because I think a lot of the mom and pops have closed or sold to bigger people. But when you say you're in business, especially now,
yes,
that you've been in business, local, family owned for 50 years, 20 years, or 10 years, it means a lot, especially now, because now even more than before, sadly, we know businesses are closing.
Yeah.
From big ones to mom and pops, and it's sad that you're driving up and down Post Road and there are places you're like, oh my God, they closed, right? Tell them that you're different. Tell them it's you're local, you're their friend in business and partner. And I think that's key.
Yeah, that's why our motto works, because we're local, but we offer you some of the perks of having a big company. And
right.
Having
You have a company behind you.
Right. So that's why I really enjoy our model of business. But okay, and Jason, are there any special packages you're offering? I know you guys do a lot of stuff with the Latino market, for example.
We do huge on the Latino market. It's under, one of the things I did at ESPN was work for the Spanish stations, the port days, and on WFAN they used to sell Spanish Yankees. I think it's one of the most undervalued markets that people just don't understand. Those are your people. Those are your market. Those are the ones that are loyal to a brand. We know the Latinx market is very brand loyal, right? Because if you think, I'm fortunate enough that I lived in Venezuela for a few years, and all your backgrounds. I know living there compared to here, when you go to a supermarket, there's only 5 or 6 brands on the on the shelf.
To your brand.
Right,
Yeah.
and you stick with that brand.
Yes.
When you come here, there's 10,000 brands on the supermarket,
Right.
but you somehow turn right to that brand.
Right.
Because it gives you that, you're familiar with it, gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling. They're loyal to the brand, they like the customer service to a point, they like family-oriented things. And remember, they have the money to spend. They have it because people haven't reached out to try and grab those marketing dollars. They get it. They're raising their families around it. They're trying to assimilate like everybody else. I tell people, then people go, oh, I don't have a Spanish commercial. I tell people this: when you're listening to an American station and someone speaks a different language, you wake up and you look around. So think of it this way: if you're on a Spanish station, right, people have in the background, and you come up with an English commercial, it raises their heads up to look, because, oh, what? Huh? Am I on the wrong station?
Right.
And what's cool about the Latino market, especially in advertising, it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Because it's so undervalued.
Interesting.
It's a lot cheaper.
Interesting. So, I mean, I'm a part of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce here in Norwalk. I know that many of the people watching this are also in the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. This might be a great opportunity, and Jason might be the guy to help you promote your business even more. If you're trying to get to the Latino market, which we have plenty here in Norwalk, and they're really good clients for all different industries. So that's awesome. That
Absolutely.
it's a great tip to know, right?
It is. It is.
All right. So anything you want to leave us with, Jason? Any tips, advice, or ways to contact you and how to
I think
start the process?
I think the key thing I would recommend everyone seeing what's out there. Don't panic, right? You hear it. We're gonna get through it. Yes, you guys are doing the right thing. Whatever you're doing is working. You guys have so much more to worry about on top of everything else now, right? That you weren't expecting. Just remember, you keep hearing whatever the new norm is. In my mentality, what I'm seeing now in the advertising world, the mask is a new norm, right? There's no question anymore. Don't worry about the stuff you can't control and stuff. Figure out what you can do to get your name out there. They're gonna come.
Which mask marketing is
that's it.
Booming.
People are tired of being cooped up. Right? We've been locked up for 8 months.
Yeah.
They want to get out. They still want to be safe,
right.
But they want to get out. They'll come to you. Just remind them what they have to do. Right? You're gonna start seeing commercials now. Like Amazon's great. They wear the mask in the commercial. They don't even talk about safety anymore. It's just a given. It's a given. You hope that they're following through. Don't worry about the safety aspect. Talk about what you're doing. They know you're going to be safe, right? It's tough to say it's business as usual, but unfortunately, it's business as usual.
Yeah, you have to carry on, right?
Right. To get in touch with me, just reach out by email to Jason, JSON.Lee, L-I, at A as in Apple, the letter A, the number 4, media.com.
Yeah, and of course I'll list that below. So thank you so much for being here, Jason. As you guys know, you can reach him here locally, and you can reach me at 203-803-2153 for any of your insurance needs as a local agency to, again, hammer on that point now that I'm learning tips from Jason. But all right, so we'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care.